Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edappadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Presenting the all-knowing, all-powerful Tech Guru.
Whoa. Guru? I'm no guru.
Okay.
I'm just a guy who loves his tech.
A show where the mysteries of megabytes and motherboards shall be unraveled.
Bro, nobody talks like that anymore. This is all about connected ecosystems, EVs and AI that you can use in your daily lives. We aren't talking about time travel yet.
Gadgets tested under extreme conditions.
But why? I review tech for people like you and me. You know what? Let me take it from here.
All right.
Tech isn't that complicated. In fact, it's about making our lives simpler, better, and more fun. That's what we do on Tech 360. Real talk, real reviews, tech that you can actually.
Good evening and welcome to India Matters on Friday night. It is a big day for India's relations with the United States. But you're not going to be surprised by that, are you, viewer? Because it has been one hell of a couple of months. But Trump has taken things to the next level now. And that's why my lead story tonight is how Trump has taken his tirade to an extreme and seems to have broken up with India. It's a big meltdown, but it appears to be a real breaking point in the relationship. I'll show you what he's put on social media and why, even by Trump standards, this is truly shocking. I'll have experts as well. And then on my show, I'm also going to tell you about how the biggest ever defense upgrade since independence has just been unveiled by India's Ministry of Defense. Incredible futuristic weapons are on the table for India a few months after Operation Sindoor, a recognition that this is a war-fighting nation and we need to be better armed. I am going to go into detail with Vishnu Shom right here on India Matters on what those weapons will actually look like. But let's start with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, congratulations on your big breakup. You and India are officially over, it seems. You've put it out there for the world to see on your social media. But hey, don't despair, because you found your forever person, Pakistan. A loyal partner, one who will never stray, one who will never think for themselves, one will never be independent, one who will always put their interests and your interests first and theirs last, times even ahead of their own people's. Now that is true love, Mr. Trump. You agree with all Indians tonight. But let's talk about this new phase you're going through. You now sound a bit like a bull, charging at a wall you think will, except it isn't even cracking. And I'm talking in metaphors, obviously, because India's composure, calm, business as usual response to your tariffs and threats and even your words tonight have forced you to strip away layers of your usual whimsical persona. What's left is a genuinely unstable looking leader who can't be trusted with the serious business of foreign relations, friendships and peace. And that's why you and Pakistan are perfect together, both addicted, both quick to tantrums, both perfectly comfortable playing victim while burning down the house. But let's face it, your tweet, or your post rather, wasn't just a tantrum. it was a bit of a confession as well, wasn't it? You admitted in your rage and your fury with India that China is now on par with the United States in the great globe. Did you notice you just made a monumental geopolitical self-goal? So here we are tonight. Donald Trump revealed. A man apparently unworthy of friendship, of trust, of decency or respect as a global leader. And India, well, India is just grinning and bearing it for the moment. It has sipped its chai and reminded the world that it plays by its own rules. Whether with China militarily or with Trump with Buddha-like restraint, India has just taught the world what it's like to tame a bully. And joining me live tonight on Trump's very latest, where he has said that India and Russia have basically crossed over to dark China. David K. Johnson is a senior journalist and author. He's been a Trump watcher for many decades. Daniel Silverberg is adjunct fellow at the Center for a New American Security. They're both joining us from the United States. David, I'd like to come to you first. Even by Trump's own standards, and he has said some pretty explicit, contemptuous things, I think we can agree, in the last few weeks. This latest post by him says, looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long, prosperous future together. This is dramatic by Trump standards. What do you make of it, David?
Well, I don't think Donald has any standards. And I say this as someone who spent hundreds of hours with him going back 37 years. Donald is a con artist. It's all a bluff. He is unbelievably ignorant about the world. So the way you just described Pakistan, for example, is beyond his ken. He simply doesn't know anything about the world. I mean, this is a man who did not know what happened at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. How anyone who's a world leader could not know that, even if you're a small country somewhere far from the US, is just astonishing. And so Donald doesn't know what to do. He is flailing about. He is used to people bowing to him either because he could bring economic pressure on them. He had some secret about them. If they were a politician, he paid people who knew that someone had a skeleton in their closet. And that's how he's run his entire life. So the important thing to remember about Donald Trump is he is the world's greatest con artist, and he is the third generation head of a 4-generation white-collar crime family that have for decades stolen from people using contracts, broken promises, extortion, as we're seeing him now all around the world, extort governments and businesses for the benefit of him, his family, and his emerging dictatorship. He isn't fully consolidated power, but the United States is not currently led by a president. It's led by a dictator who's busy consolidating power and making enormous claims like we have the right to go and murder people if we think they are trying to bring drugs to the United States.
Daniel, Trump has sounded unhinged as far as India is concerned. You know, for a while, people have said there's a method to this madness, there's a larger design. You know, this isn't just, instability. He is looking for a deal. He's looking to goad India to signing, an aggressive trade deal. It has crossed that point, I think we can all agree. Do you think this is a breaking point where he says India has crossed over to deepest, darkest China, and we hope that they are very happy together? How are you reading it, Daniel?
I actually don't think it's a breaking point, and thank you for having me here. One light, Donald Trump is very tough to read. He is an unpredictable leader. He could be capricious at times. I know that some analysts romanticize that he's so crazy you don't know what's going to happen next, and that has a power and utility in and of itself. For foreign policy experts and practitioners in the field, it's highly disconcerting after years across multiple administrations of trying to strengthen U.S.-India relations. To have it blown up in this fashion is highly disconcerting. But I don't think it's a point of no return for the following reason. That one, the U.S.-India relationship is not reduced to a mere Trump tweet. It's not merely a matter of how Donald Trump feels on any given day. I guarantee you there are any number of factions within the White House who are not pleased with the turbulence that we're seeing right now, and who are trying to make very clear, this is not 1971. This is not an outright break with India. We have far too many things in common, and frankly, way too many military and business interests against China. Common expectations, common needs to blow up this relationship.
The only divergence I have from that, and I agree with you largely, Daniel, is that this isn't on any given day. It's been, a consistent, escalatory, disrespectful, patronizing, borderline racist, contemptuous, sometimes unthinkable words have been said for a relationship that has been built over 25 years. And that's the reason why even those who subscribe to Trump's brand of aggressive diplomacy are wondering, where this is actually headed. David, the Commerce Secretary of the United States, right before this broadcast, was on a US network saying India has to choose, either they're with us or against us, which reminds me of Operation Enduring Freedom, actually, which is a little ominous. Those words ring true here as well. And he also says, and this is something that hasn't gone down well in India, this tone of condescension, where he says, oh, don't worry, India will come to the talks table in 2 months. They can't run this one out. It's this kind of thing that's made it very difficult for things to continue normally.
Well, I think Daniel is exactly correct. This is not the end of any relationship with India. India is the 7th largest trading partner of the United States. India is moving to become a much wealthier country, as it was when India and China 500 years ago were the 2 wealthiest countries on the planet. And Donald's limited understanding of the world is not everything about the United States. And there absolutely are factions within the Trump administration who understand the importance of trade and alliances. Nonetheless, notice that Modi, Xi, and Putin went out of their way to humiliate Trump during the SCO meeting. The ride in the limos, 2 rides in the limos, were specifically intended to humiliate Donald Trump. And so it's important to keep on track with the things you can keep on track, and to recognize that Donald is, he's deeply mentally ill. And I'll just point out, for those who don't know, I've written 3 best-selling books and half of a book I wrote 30 years ago about Donald. My track record on predicting his behavior is holding steady at 1,000 in baseball terms. You're a star if you can hit 270. And not once have I been wrong. I've been wrong a lot about Congress and the voters, but I have never been wrong about what I've said about Donald on anything. No one's ever shown any error. And so Donald doesn't know what he's doing. That's the most important thing to understand. Yeah. This is an uneducated, mentally ill, very old man who believes that he is special because of the horrible, horrible upbringing he had, that if you had had that upbringing, you might be as crazy as Donald is. If you had a brutal father who told you the only thing that mattered was winning, which meant getting the money, even if you did it by cheating, which is the principal way he got his money. He even cheated customers at one of his casinos. He had 12-year-old children gambling in his casinos. And secondly, understanding that everything to Donald is about trying to fill this emptiness inside from this just horrible upbringing, a mother who was not loving and nurturing, and a father who was a monster.
Daniel, then the obvious final question is, where is the off-ramp? Given the things that have been said so far, it's going to be increasingly difficult for the Indian leadership, to sell any abrupt peace overtures towards Trump, as the US Commerce Secretary seems to be suggesting. Do you see an off-ramp in the near future?
Well, I won't speculate to Donald Trump's motivations or psychology. I do think that you can draw a pretty clear line between what Trump is doing on foreign policy and I think his pretty uncanny understanding of the U.S. electorate and U.S. politics. Democrats, I think, dramatically underestimated Trump from 2016 on. That is no longer the case. He clearly has extraordinary political skills. I worked on Capitol Hill for 14 years for Democratic leadership. I can tell you we got it wrong initially. No one is getting it wrong right now. When it comes to U.S. domestic politics, when it comes to foreign policy, I think he's still very much a wild card and dancing among different factions, as David mentioned. And so I do think that there is going to be a number of off-ramps here because there's too much at stake. He knows there's too much at stake here. And so he can spout off and write tweets that the foreign policy literati like myself are deeply concerned about. His base isn't going to care, but at a certain point, U.S. businesses with strong interests in India, U.S. military officials who've spent years trying to strengthen our coalition against China, our intelligence officials are going to say, Mr. President, you got to reel this back in. And I feel very confident that right now there are discussions within the White House among those factions who are saying, let's just go after India. Why should India get a free pass in purchasing oil from Russia at the exact time that we're trying to negotiate a Ukraine deal? And others who are saying, Mr. President, you got to pump the brakes here. You got to put this relationship back on track. I think that there's going to be ways to do it through trade, economic partnerships.
We'll have to see where this goes. It only seems to be escalating for the moment. David and Daniel, thanks so much for joining me tonight. And in a major NDTV national security news break today, the Modi government has just unveiled India's biggest defense upgrade capability plan since independence, according to some experts. The Defense Ministry has unveiled a 15-year, multi-billion-dollar plan to transform India's armed forces with futuristic weaponry. The roadmap, a copy of which NDTV has seen, includes things like nuclear-powered warships, next-generation battle tanks, hypersonic long-range missiles, stealth bomber drones, AI-powered warfare and weapons, and space-based warfare technology. Now, according to this path-breaking short-term capability vision document that seeks to beef up the armed forces with future-ready weapons for the first time, the Indian Army, for instance, will induct nearly 1,800 future battle tanks to replace its current fleet, 400 light tanks for mountain warfare, 50,000 tank-mounted anti-tank guided missiles, and over 700 robotic counter-IED systems. The Indian Navy, on the other hand, is set to get a next-generation aircraft carrier, 10 next-generation frigates, 7 advanced corvettes, and 4 landing platform docks or amphibious ships. There will be nuclear propulsion for some of these warships. There could be electronic launch systems for these next-generation aircraft carriers. The Air Force will acquire, according to this vision document, 75 high-altitude pseudo-satellites, 150 stealth unmanned combat aerial vehicles, hundreds of precision-guided munitions, and over 100 remotely piloted unmanned aircraft. This is a blueprint for a future-ready force that comes just a few months after Operation Sindoor. The intention is that over the next decade and a half, the Indian military has to be upgraded to an extent that hasn't been seen since independence. And I want to show you what some of those capabilities really are. And joining me here on India Matters is Vishnu, who knows more, I can tell you, about weapons and weapon systems than anyone else that I know. Vishnu, a 15-year roadmap that includes things like nuclear-powered naval warships, a new generation aircraft carrier, hypersonic weapons. Your initial assessment of this. We've spoken about these things before. The government has now put them on paper.
They need to cough up the money.
Yeah.
Hundreds of billions of dollars Within a limited period of time. 15 years is nothing as far as defense preparedness.
Blink of an eye.
Who's going to be making this? A lot of these have not even entered the prototype stage. Atmanirbharta is the focus of this government. We don't want to get into too many imports, only when it's required. Is industry in India mature enough to actually act with the DRDO set up, the Defense Research and Development Organization, in actually making all of this a reality? That said, everything in this list makes sense. Nuclear-powered naval warships, Shiv, why? Because we've already got nuclear-powered reactors. Therefore, adopting that for aircraft carriers is not a big deal. We have nuclear-powered submarines. Adopting those reactors for aircraft carriers, not a big deal.
Just talk for a moment about what a nuclear-powered naval warship does to a warship's capability, Vishnu. How is it different from a normal warship?
It never runs out of its ability to operate unless there's a breakdown or unless food on board ends.
Yeah, incredible. So nearly limitless endurance.
Limitless range and endurance, bound entirely by its mechanical ability to carry on with that endurance. The reactor, modern ones, are often not refueled in the life of that reactor. This is what countries like the United States operate. France operates as well. And that is really the bedrock of what an advanced aircraft carrier
is. And a new generation aircraft carrier. We already have Indian-built INS Vikrant. This is a new generation aircraft carrier. I'm assuming they mean nuclear powered here as well. Possibly, we don't know.
They've said one more aircraft carrier. Let's face it, Vikramaditya is not state of the art by any means. Vikramaditya is the old Russian aircraft carrier, formerly Gorshkov. That has to be decommissioned sooner than later. So they're essentially looking at a replacement for that. If you have a nuclear reactor inside, it seems to indicate that you'd go for a larger warship. That means many more fighter jets on board. So a genuine carrier potentially going towards a super carrier where you have about 80 odd aircraft on board is what I would guess.
Okay, so unmanned combat aerial vehicles is again not something that people haven't heard of before. India has its own program as well. But stealth UCAVs or unmanned combat aerial vehicles, which are basically pilotless drones that can drop bombs after penetrating airspace. Tell us about this, Vishnu. We've got a program called the Ghatak, which is very nascent. It's a technology demonstrator, but the intention is to build a capability where these unmanned stealth aircraft can fly into enemy airspace and drop bombs.
Or even if they don't fly into enemy airspace, even if they are operating from within, let's say, Chinese territory, but are undetected and have, given the size of the aircraft themselves and stealth as they are, the ability to launch long-range precision weapons actually gives countries like China presently the ability to really hit India hard. India needs to counter that. Stealth technology has to mature in India. We keep talking about Indian stealth technology only in terms of AMCA, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. That's a fighter aircraft. The world is now moving beyond manned platforms to unmanned platforms. That's going to be a reality in the next 15, 20 years. Therefore, we need to come of age with that technology as well.
And Vishnu is right, because this is a capability document that talks about putting such weapons into service in the next 15 years, and 15 years is nothing when it comes to weapons development. So this is hugely ambitious, but at least it has been articulated. Now let's come to hypersonic missiles, Vishnu. Again, something we've already seen in recent battles. We've seen Iran fire some into Israel. You were in Israel, when some of this was happening. Tell us about India's program. Do we already have a hypersonic missile program?
We've got.
How far along are we?
There are two types of hypersonic weapons. There's something called a boost glide weapon, where you use the booster of, let's say, an intercontinental ballistic missile or of a ballistic missile to take a weapon to a particular speed. It then releases. It then travels at hypersonic velocities, which are above Mach 5. Actually, more than that.
Cannot be intercepted.
It needs to. It operates in a particular trajectory. That makes it very difficult to intercept. Then there are those hypersonic weapons which use what's called a scramjet, and this document actually makes mention of a scramjet, which is an air-breathing engine. We've tested both, but it's not even a prototype weapon. We're now looking at, for example, scramjets we've tested for 1,000 seconds, which is really great. We need to weaponize that.
Okay, so 15 years once again, which is very interesting. At least, we've got our eye on the prize.
Where's the money coming from?
The Defense Ministry. Well, look, you've had the Prime Minister say, when it comes to national security, especially in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, there's never going to be any shortage of money for national security. Let's assume that is a guiding principle as far as these weapons
we would need to have shaved 7-8% of our GDP if we're going to achieve this in 15 years.
Right now, it's what, 2.5%?
Yeah, it's at the level of where we were in 1962.
Okay, so how much is a directed energy laser weapon going to cost, Vishnu? This I
Not
know
very
for a
much.
fact is in the works. Some of those things have been, in a rudimentary fashion, been tested. These are like Star Wars weapons, laser weapons.
No, so this is actually fairly developed.
Yeah.
It's called Kali. It's a program. It's being done by the DRDO. The fact is that you cannot be using missiles to take out incoming drones all the time. You need to have a directed energy weapon. Another way of saying directed energy weapon is laser. So
Yeah.
it is very much Star Wars or Star Trek, if you like. These are beginning to get deployed. It becomes absolutely essential because each surface-to-air missile costs upwards of, let's say, $1 million.
Yeah.
A single shot of a laser costs a few cents.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So it's viable.
okay. It's viable, definitely.
And it needs
okay.
to go on warships.
Okay, so
as well.
I want to cycle through the next few and go right to the end. So we've
The next
talked about
one
the
is
laser
interesting.
weapons, pseudo super satellites, which are high
That's
altitude.
critical. That's super.
critical.
There is a company in India called New Space.
Yeah.
Samir Joshi
Yes.
runs that.
Who was at the NDTV summit?
Who was at the NDTV summit. He has already prototyped a HAPS or a high altitude pseudo satellite.
Yeah.
What is this aircraft?
Yeah.
It flies really slowly.
Yeah, I love how it looks as well.
It's powered by solar technology. It flies up to 70,000 feet, plus more than that
Yeah.
perhaps, just on the edge of
Space.
where the atmosphere ends and edge of space. And because it's persistent, it essentially floats in one area, very slowly goes around.
And acts
it
like a
has
satellite.
sensors,
Yeah.
and it's up there for months on end,
Yeah.
hypothetically.
Yeah.
Even though it's relatively, slow technology, it's not a fighter plane or
Yeah.
anything like that, it is still state of the art. If you have something on that at 75,000 feet, looking over, let us say,
And we
Doklam,
know, and
imagine the benefit to our defense plan.
Operation Sindoor has confirmed how crucial and vital having such, persistent satellite capabilities really are. So we've talked about the pseudo satellites. Future battle tanks we already know about. Those are in the works. 400 light mountain tanks, very important.
We've got
You're
that
going
in
to
the
see
screen.
that on Vishnu's show at 10 p.m., where the both of us became the first journalists who actually drove India's new mountain tank. Smart swarming drones you've heard about. I'll end, Vishnu, we've got just a few seconds left. High energy electromagnetic weapons. We've seen Japan and a couple of other countries test some of these. What are these? How difficult is this going to be?
An electromagnetic pulse weapon would actually take out the digital infrastructure of your enemy. It would take out your power grids. It would take out a whole lot of interconnected systems. And therefore, an electromagnetic pulse weapon, that's what I read this to be, would be a game changer. China has invested very heavily on it. How exactly this works,
Yeah.
extremely closely guarded. Secrets.
It's going to be incredible. And, you're right. There are questions to ask. Where's the money going to come from? Is 15 years really enough? But I'm very excited about this, and I hope it can be a reality. Why not aim for the stars when it comes to something as important as national security? Vishnu, thanks so much for joining me. And remember, here on India Matters yesterday, we showed you a story that broke so many hearts. It was from the middle of the floods in Punjab, and it pertained to a little boy named Abhijot who suffers from a critical lightning kidney ailment. You're going to be very happy tonight, viewer, to know that thanks to India Matters and NDTV's reportage, the Punjab government, the Punjab Chief Minister, people like Sonu Sood and many others have reached out and are helping little Abhijot. Here's that report by Reet Kaur Sani.
The battle for life can be won even if all the odds are against you. This is what an NDTV campaign has achieved.
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਏ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਠੀਕ ਜੀ ਸੀਐਮ ਸਾਹਿਬ
It managed to make the voice of an 8-year-old Abhijot Singh heard nationwide amid the worst floods that Punjab is battling. Over 1,300 villages submerged, countless lives lost, but amidst all, a ray of hope. The 8-year-old boy from Talwandi Rai Dadu village in Amritsar district is battling nephrotic syndrome, a severe kidney disorder requiring regular treatment at a Chandigarh hospital, which is 250 kilometers away. Each visit costs his family 45,000 rupees, a sum now impossible to gather as floods have destroyed their only source of income, their farm.
ਉੱਥੇ ਚੰਡੀਗੜ੍ਹ ਜਾਈਦਾ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਡਮ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ 40-45,000 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਖਰਚਾ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਕਿਰਾਇਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਾਣ। ਮੈਡਮ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੈਸੇ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਰਾਈਗਰੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਡਮ ਜਿਹੜੀ 5-4 ਕਿੱਲੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਹ ਫਸਲ ਪਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਤਬਾਹ ਹੋ ਗਈ।
This little 8-year-old is battling for his life.
NDTV's relentless campaign has made a massive impact as just within 24 hours, help has been promised by the Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann and actor and philanthropist Sonu Sood. Abhijot's journey is far from over, but with continued support, there's hope. A dedicated bank account has been set up for those wishing to help. In times of crisis, stories like Abhijot's remind us of our shared humanity and the incredible impact we as a network can bring when we come together. And NDTV will not stop here. Bureau Report, NDTV.
The defender of Ladakh, India's high-altitude warrior. Meet the Zorawar.
We are on a piece of incredible Indian engineering.
This compares with the best in the world. It's probably better than any light tank that's ever been built. Vishnu and I are on the Zorawar right before it goes into the hands of the Indian Army.
The first journalists on board India's new light tank, built in India for the world, an NDTV exclusive.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Finessa Windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, तो मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती हैं। तो जब ये रियलाइज़ हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया। कशिता ही ऐसे बॉय मिलते मुंबई में, चांस ही नहीं।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out of it.
गोल्ड ग्लास, क्लियर ग्लास, पार हो या नियर, सब कुछ दिखे क्लियर।
We see the problems, but you as a social entrepreneur see the solutions. You are not just creating solution, you are creating a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. For the change makers, the innovators, the ones building a better world, one solution at a time. The Adani Green Talk Social Impact Awards are created for you. Green Talk Social Impact Awards 2025, coming soon.
pulling us into this country.
They argue, I conclude. They deflect, I drill down. Stop. This isn't a free-for-all. It's a reckoning. No filler, no fog. Only the facts and where they lead. Every night at 9, the case closes because the buck stops here.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine, finer, Finesta.
Veni, Vedi, Vici. But unlike Julius Caesar, this great statesman had no need for Latin.
भारत के व्यक्तिगत जीवन में क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ के लिए आपने जिस सरकार को है वो कोई कमी नहीं रखेगी।
He communicated in the language understood by the lowest to the highest. Wielding his magic sword of promised words, he wooed India into his confidence.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं
He's one of the most talked about politicians of this century. Prime Minister to 1.5 billion of the global population, disputed face of the world's biggest, richest and fastest growing political party.
विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा।
He takes pains to remind everyone that despite his exalted station, he was and remains a man of the masses. He is the lowest common denominator that aggregates Bharat. No mean task for someone whose life track initially ran parallel to trains taking tea halts at an unknown station. There were 10 big tasks, challenges that this modern-day Hercules had to overcome on his journey to become the one and only Narendra Modi of India. The Munich Security Index 2025 puts Indians amongst the top 2 most confident nationalities based on power trajectory, and Mr. Modi backs up this widespread optimism with many of his personal accomplishments. India recently overtook the UK to become the world's 5th largest economy. Prime Minister Modi says India will rank 3rd by 2027.
आज भारत विश्व की सबसे तेज ग्रो करने वाली मेजर इकोनॉमी है और बहुत जल्द विश्व की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी बनने जा रहा है.
The country's tech prowess was showcased by sending Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla into space in preparation of Indian manned space missions of the near future. Through all of this, for the past 2 decades and more, Narendra Modi has remained the source of BJP's pride and the subject of international awe.
140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की भावनाएं भी हैं. मेरी आवाज में सभी भारतीयों का उत्साह और उमंग शामिल है.
And the journey began many decades ago when the child Narendra imbibed discipline as a way of life. Narendra Modi had chalked out his path in life by his early 20s. Driven by his inner passion, he was ready to abandon his hometown, his family, and his circle of friends, as he chose to become a pracharak in the RSS. It was under the tutelage of the RSS that he honed his skills in managing people and setting up organizational systems at the district and zonal levels. In less than a decade, Modi had proved his worth and was deputed to the Bharatiya Janata Party in 1987. His specific brief was to strengthen the organizational spine and ensure that the party ran seamlessly. The young RSS pracharak Narendra Modi's success made him come to the notice of BJP stalwarts who decided to rope him in for bigger roles in the political arena. Early in his association, Modi was given charge of coordinating 2 high-stake Sangh Parivar programs in the country. The first was L.K. Advani's trailblazing Rath Yatra of 1990 that would lead to the demolition of Babri Masjid, and Modi organized the first stretch of that campaign. The next year saw Modi's first national assignment as the organizer of Murli Manohar Joshi's cross-country Ekta Yatra.
छब्बीस जनवरी को परसों अब चंद घंटे बाकी हैं. लाल चौक में फैसला हो जाएगा किसने अपनी मां का दूध पिया.
Narendra Modi has mentioned that he worked for the greater good of the party, not even getting an opportunity to build a constituency or a loyal group who might come in useful if he had any political ambitions. Eventually, Modi was sent to Delhi, where at party headquarters he had daily contact with all the national BJP leaders and observed them at close quarters. In 2001, Gujarat faced a most devastating earthquake that in reality launched Modi's political career. It was actually built on his success in the coordinating of relief work in Gujarat. The first instance when a calamity presented an opportunity to do work and gather recognition and support.
नरेंद्र दामोदर मोदी
ईश्वरना नामे सौगंध लઉં છું
ईश्वरना नामे सौगंध लઉં છું.
A few months later, when factionalism and underperformance stared the ruling BJP in Gujarat, the party's top brass in Delhi decided to send Narendra Modi to quell the tide. He was a man waiting for such an opportunity. He rolled up his sleeves and took control of Gujarat and his own destiny. Till then, he had not won an election. His string of astounding victories was still to come for the new Chief Minister of the state. For the RSS, Modi's installation was significant because for the first time, a full-time pracharak had become a head of government.
माना दोस्तों, माना कि अंधेरा घना है, माना रात अंधेरी है, अंधेरा घना है, लेकिन यारों दिया जलाना कहां मना है.
Narendra Modi served as Gujarat Chief Minister for more than 12 years, making him the longest serving CM of the state. And since his first election, confirming his chief ministerial post, he has never ever lost any election till date. To perfect his stamp of delivery, Narendra Modi created the Gujarat model. He fashioned the state into a business-friendly destination for domestic and foreign companies. When in 2008, Ratan Tata decided to abandon the idea of building the Nano in West Bengal, Modi is said to have sent a one-word SMS to Ratan Tata: Suswagatam. The Nano deal was wrapped up in 15 days, Tata Motors opting for the site at Sanand that Modi had pre-selected. Narendra Modi conceived the vibrant Gujarat Special Event Series to occur every alternate year to attract investment. It was a big success as big business made a beeline for a state whose chief minister was offering cheap land and access to infrastructure to build and run their enterprises. Driven by massive industrialization, the state's economy expanded by an average of 10% a year between 2004 and 2012. Above the Indian average of about 8.25. In a joint Economic Times Nielsen survey in 2013, nearly 3/4 of Indian CEOs said they wanted Modi to lead the country.
Modi, Modi. दल ने यह फैसला किया है कि श्री नरेंद्र मोदी को आगामी लोकसभा चुनाव के लिए प्राइम मिनिस्ट्रियल कैंडिडेट के रूप में प्रयुक्त किया जाए.
After his success of creating and then selling the idea of Gujarat, the next challenge that Narendra Modi faced was to make the people of India want him. And for that to happen, Modi had to sell change itself as the idea of the future. Modi challenged India to demand change. Modi's strategy was to offer himself up as the solution to all evils that existed in India. His was a promise that came as a panacea for the desire of a dynamic, assertive leader who would revitalize India's economy and security.
नाता तोड़ो, ये समय की मांग है भाई। हवा का रूप साफ नजर आ रहा है। देश की जनता ने कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत की शुभ शुरुआत कर दी है।
The youth of India particularly believed him, and with their votes sent him to parliament with a massive majority. Modi was the new man in parliament, a first-time MP. Though he had been the longest-serving Chief Minister of Gujarat, Modi had no experience in parliament. But he took to it as fish to water. He had a massive majority, and in no time did Narendra Modi make it clear to all that he was here for the long haul. It was no fluke of the ballot that Modi was Prime Minister. He was PM for a cause. He was driven to prove himself, and like always, he started immediately.
अडवाणी जी ने एक शब्द प्रयोग किया। मैं अडवाणी जी से प्रार्थना करता हूं वो शब्द उपयोग न करें। उन्होंने कहा नरेंद्र भाई ने कृपा की। कभी कृपा हो सकती है? जैसे भारत मेरी मां है, वैसे ही भाजपा भी मेरी मां है।
One after the other, schemes were launched and new catchphrases coined. Throughout India, his messaging was accessible to one and all. The country soon believed that if Modi was there, then it was possible. From Achhe Din to Make in India to Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, the government machinery molded itself to suit Narendra Modi's style of working. Narendra Modi became Prime Minister riding a complex mix of emotions. There were the youth who wanted pace. There were unhappy people who had not been getting the right breaks. There was a degree of simmering resentment and anger in Middle India. And one of the biggest grouse of all was over allegations of corruption against the old government. Narendra Modi's challenge was to set the house straight, to let entire India know in one master stroke that Narendra Modi had struck at the root of the cause.
500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए के करेंसी नोट लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे।
At 8:15 p.m. on a Tuesday evening, Modi slayed the demon of black money by demonetizing nearly all money. The month of August 2019 began with a sense expectation. Suddenly, Thousands of additional security forces were deployed into Kashmir Valley. Educational institutions were shut and tourists were told to pack up and leave. No one had a clue that Narendra Modi was bracing to once and for all solve the problem that was Kashmir. On the 5th of the month, under Modi's leadership, the Union Cabinet abrogated Article 370, ironically bypassing Parliament in much the same fashion that it was inserted into the Constitution in 1952.
गुलाम नबी साहब ने कहा कि धारा 370 ऐतिहासिक है, मैं इसके विवाद में जाना नहीं चाहता, मगर मैं जो बिल लेकर आया हूँ वो भी ऐतिहासिक है, इतिहास बनाने वाला बिल है।
The abrogation plan had been thought out and executed to the minutest detail. From avoiding legal challenges to preempting political obstruction, clamping down on separatist leaders, shutting down the terror funding from Pakistan, Modi claimed complete success at having severed Pakistan's Hydra-headed hold over Kashmir. Statehood of Jammu and Kashmir was revoked and Ladakh separated as two union territories came under the direct control of the Modi government at the center. In solving Kashmir, Modi promised unprecedented development for the entire region.
जो पत्थर पहले पुलिस और फौज पर फेंकने के लिए उठते थे, उन पत्थरों से नया जम्मू कश्मीर बन रहा। जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख में एक नए युग की शुरुआत हुई है। अब देश के सभी नागरिकों के हक भी समान है और दायित्व भी समान है। आपको बचाने के लिए, आपके परिवार को बचाने के लिए आज रात 12 बजे से घरों से बाहर निकलने पर पूरी तरह पाबंदी लगाई जा रही है।
Nobody was prepared for the pandemic. The world panicked and deliberated on what to do, how to handle something so unprecedented and far-reaching. India, with its